To recap what we did in the last class, we created a uh, new application, new Angular application, and then we we ran it also. So we saw what components are, we saw what nested components are, and then we were able to see a component within another component uh, in an Angular application. This class, what we will do is we will show the data in the Angular application. We will show the data that we will fetch from a Web API service.
Okay.
So if you remember web APIs, though they are methods, right? They don't have an interface. They don't have a user interface. The user interface for web APIs will be your Angular application. So which means your Angular application will send a request, a HTTP request to the web API to fetch some data. Let's say product information or order information and so on. So that is one. Second is we will look at, if you remember, the Angular application is called a single page application. So which means that we will define menus, but it will give a feel that on clicking of a menu, we are going to a different page, but it is actually one single page. It is going to a different component within the same page. We'll look at that. Let's look at the previous class slides.
So we will use get, put, and post.
Yeah.
For the
methods.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Now, in the last class, we saw the different files in a, once you create an Angular project, right? That ng new and the name of the application. You create a new Angular application, it creates a set of default files. We saw what each file means and what does the content of each file means. So basically, there is a component which is which is a class, and then the class has properties and methods. Then we have something called a decorator, which is an add component decorator, which defines the metadata. So metadata basically means it is saying what is the selector that for this component and what is the template URL, right? The view, and then if any styles. So that's what a component means. And then we saw the Angular root module that has declarations, imports, providers, and bootstrapping. So bootstrapping is what is your entry point of the application, which is your app component. Okay. Now, in any Angular application, you have an app module, which is your root module. Then you will have components. That's how it is structured. So there can be more than one modules, but yeah, so one module will have components. There can be multiple modules too. Then we saw what are the different files and important files and what each of them mean. Yeah, this is how an Angular application looks. It has a module and then it has components, and a component is a class and it has a view associated with it. So where does the data for the view come from in the component? From the component class. Right? The component class itself is it has properties and methods. So the data for the view will come from the properties of the component. There's also another thing called a service, which we'll also look at today. So basically, your Angular is modules, components, services, and views. These are the 4 things that you will be dealing with.
So data for view comes from the components of the class.
Components of the class comes from the component, so which is a class itself. Okay. So any component you take is a class, right? If you remember, if I go to the
itself, yeah.
So if I go to the code of any component, let's say Here I have a product details component. If you see, this is a component, right? Export class component name, and then it has some properties, which is just like your C# class. Properties are nothing but your attributes or variables, and then it has methods. So ng-init was one of the method. Then it has a constructor also. So I think we didn't talk about constructor and ng-init, which we will talk today as well. Any questions that you have based on what we talked in the last class? Any confusions or any clarifications that you want? Did you get the?
Things are there, but we need to work with some applications.
Yeah.
Then only it will come.
Okay, sure, I understand. Now, so did you understand the structure of the Angular application? Let me ask you that. So when you did an ng new and the name of the Angular application, it created a set of files. Did you understand like what each file means in that structure? Like if you look at here, what I'm showing
Like
here,
app.module.
app.module.
Like that, right?
Yeah. So what is app.module?
It's a root.
It's a root module,
Yeah.
correct. So where is the app.module sitting? It is sitting in the src folder.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? In the src folder, you have an app. In app, if you open up, there is an app.module.ts. You look at app.module.ts, what does it contain? It contains declarations of all the components that we are using in the application. It contains the external modules that we need for the application. Because browser module gives us the ability to run in the browser. Forms module is to this forms module is used for model, two-way binding. ng model, if you remember, ng model is what helps us with two-way binding.
Yes,
So we
yes,
saw one-way binding and two-way binding, correct?
Yeah.
What is one-way binding?
Okay, data from class coming to view.
Correct. Two-way binding?
Okay, that was too good.
Two-way binding is
Passing
the data
values.
from the view going to the class.
Yeah,
and
passing values between
class
parent
also.
component to child component.
Well, that is not two-way binding. That is a different concept, how you pass data from parent to child. But two-way binding is whatever values you enter in the text box on the view, that value goes to the property in the class. Similarly, whatever value is changed, let's say from the backend, you change the property, then you're showing the same thing on the view, then it will change again. So it's a two-way binding. Both anywhere you change, either you change in the view or in the property, it will change.
Yes, we did that also. Yeah,
Right.
I remember it.
Okay. So now let's look at what a service is.
So like when we create a new module, we need to include like in app.module, right?
Yeah.
It's like each time.
Yeah. So your app.module is a module. It's if you see, there is a decorator called ng module. So this is a module. This is one module. And you can see your export class app module. So this is the name of the module. There can be multiple modules in a single application. So right now this is one module, and then under the module you have components. That's the hierarchy. Okay. Now the Angular application, it has a life cycle, right? When you say life cycle, what it means is that it creates the component, renders the component, creates and renders the child components, then it processes any changes. Let's say on the UI, you make some change, or from the backend if the data has come, and then when the data comes from the backend, you will you take the properties that are defined in the component and populate that data in those properties, and that's how those properties are visible on the UI. You're attaching that property to the view, to the component, to the elements of the view. Let's say you have a you show you the code. So let's take a view. So here I'm saying page title. So what is this page title? It is in 2 flower brackets. This page title is nothing but a property in page title. Yeah, so this page title is nothing but a property in the class. Now, where is this value for the property coming? Right now I have hard coded it, but typically you get it from the database, right? You'll write a, see the separation is, let me show you how separation is. Okay, so look at this. So you see here, you have to understand the way the data works, right, or the application works. This is your web browser. This is your web server, Amazon.com. This is your IE or Chrome. When you put in the URL Amazon.com /jewelry, then it goes, and that day there is HTML files and there is JS files, and then there is the web service or web API. Generally, general term is web service. So those controllers and the methods that are in the web API are there. There is JavaScript files, HTML files. This JavaScript and HTML files will get downloaded to the browser because they are client files. These files will not get downloaded. They are sitting there. They will not come to the browser. So when you hit the URL, these files will come.
Okay.
And they will come to your local machine and sit. Now, once you hit this URL, it will download these files, then it will come to that controller, the controller method, any method, let's say get products. That get products using a generic repository, right, that we saw, and unit of work, it will go hit the database, get the data, and send it back as a response. So this is a HTTP response. This is a HTTP request. Request response. The response will be your data. Then that data is what your this data will come and it will show in this HTML file. See, what you're seeing when you hit Amazon.com is actually only HTML with the data and the JS files to make it lively. The services that are bringing the data, you can see because it is sitting on the server. JavaScript and HTML is all client side. If it is static content, it is only HTML. If I have to make that content lively, like I move my mouse, then something opens. You can see a title, right? I move my mouse on let's say a handbag, then it will show. Or if you see in Amazon.com, you have that any item that you browse, if you move your mouse, you see the enlarged view, right? How that's happening? That's happening because of JavaScript. JavaScript is making it enlarged.
Okay.
So that's the job of this JavaScript and HTML. But the actual data, like for that bag, right, that you're browsing, whether it's a Coach bag or whether it is any brand, that data is actually sitting in the database. The data is coming from the database, and the data is being supplied by the web API. Okay. See, that's how this whole structure works. Keep that in mind, okay? Says I'm driving, I'm on my way. when he's going to reach. Okay. So that's your that's how the structure is. So now if you look at your Angular application, this remember this when you build the Angular application, the output is JS files, set of JS files. Forget these map files. We don't really, these map files are really for debugging purposes, but we don't really need these map files. So you see, it is a bunch of JS files. See, there's a command. So I just did ng build, right? At home, I just did ng build. What this does is it generates the output of this project in a folder called distribution. So what does it contain? It contains all the files that I need that I can take and I can put it on a server so that you can browse it. I'll show you that, right? So, but remember that it is only JS files that's coming as an output, and we have that index.html, which is also there, which is our main, where all our components are there. So, having said that, so that's how the component is. Any component that you take, it will have the TS file. Yeah. So it has the TS file and it has the view. TS file has the definition of the component. View is nothing but the HTML file. Okay. Now, this is how the component comes to life and gets destroyed. The Angular, the people who have written Angular, right? They have a cycle runs. When you browse a page, there's a cycle that runs for every component. All these steps happen. It gets created, it gets rendered, which is shown. The children gets created, then the changes are processed. Changes are processed means any data that has come from the backend, it needs to be shown, right? That data happens, and then finally that component gets destroyed. Now,
like when we close that page, then it will get destroyed.
Yeah, when you close the page, it will get destroyed. Now, there is a need for us to tap into these events that happen. See, the Angular framework itself, it does a lot of things in each of these phases. But we can also do certain things in these phases. That is what it means to create a hook. Hook means you are hooking into all these. There are all these different phases. When I say phases, this life cycle phases. If I create a hook in create, that means that I want to do something in that create process. Along with what Angular is doing, I want to do something. Now, Angular provides the commonly used hooks are on init, on change, and on destroy. What is on init? On init is anything that if you want to initialize something in the component. Initialize means assign a value to any of the HTML controls in the view. If you want to assign any values to the properties of the component, right? You can do it in the on init method. There is also the on changes. Now, any actions that let's say Angular, there is some value that is changed, right? You change some value in the HTML. Now that is a change event for Angular. So then you can write an on changes function or event handler where you can do certain things. I'll show you an example. And then on destroy is when the cleanup is happening. So these are typically the three important hooks or event handlers that you can call. Now, if you see in the code, Yeah, there's no hooks here, but let's go to, yeah, see here. This is again a component, right? It's a, if you look at it, I have a component. This is my component, product list component. Now I want to do the on, I want to do the put a hook. I want to connect to the on init hook. I want to use the on init hook. So what I do is I say component implements on init. I say component implements on init, then it will give me a ng on init method that it will create. Whatever you want to do, you can do here.
Okay.
Right. So if I want to say, now let's look at another one. There's also ng on init. So let's say I instead of ng on init, right? I will say ng on changes. Now it will, so it automatically added this on changes thing from the lifecycle hook. It imports that. Now you need to, you can write a ng on changes method and do something in it. Now what you can do, let's see one example. Okay. Comment this guy out. So this is the product details. Let's look here, the HTML. Just gonna add something here. Input type text. Let's see, model. Do you remember what ng model is? ng model is a directive that is used for two-way binding. So what does that mean? So let's say I say age. I just defined a age. Now, in my properties, here I'll define age as string or number. Okay. And I will say age equal to 20. Okay. I'll say console.log age this dot age. We'll see what it is. Okay. This guy ng sub. What is age? What is the age in this class? This is a class, right? It's a component class. The whole thing is a class. What is age? It's a property, right? It's a property. ng on changes is a method. What is this?
What is that?
It's a constructor. What is this? Product?
Is
List.
It's a list of, well, it's not list, it's an array
Array.
of iProduct. What is iProduct? iProduct is a class. I defined iProduct in the folder called model, and I defined yeah, here. So here I defined iProduct. So what does this mean? Product colon I product. What is product?
The other product is an array.
Product is an array of what type? Numbers, strings, strings. Product is an array of I product.
I product is a class, right?
I product is a
Oh,
class.
okay.
Correct. So
Okay.
product is an array of
Okay.
that classes, right? So if I can say this, right? I say, let's say I say this. I say order colon. I'll say number. What is order? Order is an array of numbers.
Number. Yeah.
That
Type
similarly, product is an array of I products. Right? Getting it?
Yeah.
So that's how you define properties in Angular in the TS file. So the
So
name.
first we have to define a class, then then make it as an array, and then define, right?
If you want to.
Yeah.
So this number is an inbuilt one. Angular by default is given. Number, string, all these are out of the box.
Oh,
What is I product? I have defined my own. I'm saying that product is an array of I products. What is I product? It is a class. I can do, let's say I do this.
Oh, I have never written arrays like that. When we do C# coding, right? We do write it differently.
How do you write it? We are writing it like this. In
Array, yeah.
product. Yeah, a little bit changed
Changed,
around
yeah.
because languages are different, but the concept is the same. So I can say ID colon 1 comma name say product colon sweaters comma price colon quality rating 25. I'm able to say this. Why? What does this mean? What does this bracket mean? I'm actually assigning values in that array. It's like this.
Yes.
This is one element of the array.
Because you're writing it vertically, that's why it looks like that.
Yeah. Now here, if I have to assign values, what will I say? If I want to assign values to this array, what should I say? I'll say 2, 3, 4, 5. Because why? Because this is array of numbers.
No need to declare.
This is array of objects, right? What is this? This is an object. Object
So
of type.
different types of data types like that, right?
Yeah, yeah. So it is an array of this object. Which object? I product object. What is I product definition? It is there here. How am I able to refer I product here? Because I have I've done an import. That's how I'm able to refer to it. I'm defining my own custom array, right? I want an array of products. Products has ID, name, price, and so on. So I want a collection of products. So that's why I'm doing it this way. Make sense? Let's get rid of this. Okay. So here now what is age? Back to my question. Property of type number. So I'm giving it a value 20. Okay. So now it just ran. So let's go back to an HTML. Something is not right. So we defined input age It's okay to move. Can't bind to NG model since it isn't a known property of input. Okay. Now, if I have to use NG model, I have to product list G model. Model equal. Yeah, that's where it's there. Yeah. G model. G model. G model equal to age. Forms module. Forms module is there. Why is it complaining? Can't bind to NG model since it isn't a known property of input. It's complaining about this one. Type text. Type text. Model. Oh, NG model. It's not hyphen. So we were using NG hyphen. It should be NG. Okay. So now it builds again on its own, compiles, it refreshes. Okay, good. The error went away. Now we were looking at I'm running the web API because my screen is getting the values from the web API. So the web API was not running. So now it's running. So I'm going to refresh this guy again. Okay, I got the values now. Okay. So now, okay. So here, it's not visible. NG model plus, let's say container. Let's do this. If class. If you give container, it's a bootstrap class. Give more margin, make it more, make the contents look better. So right now you see the contents are, running to the left. I can see. So with container, it will give some margins and make it look good. It's a bootstrap class. Okay. So you see this 20, right? Value. Where did it get the value 20 from? I'm sorry.
You said age.
I gave age 20. Product details. Product details. 20. Okay. What we are trying to test here is the ng on changes. Okay. So I'm going to change this value. Then on changes on change. on changes. Console.log this.h. Changes. Fine. Find on it. On. Okay. Copy. Okay. Hello, K. Now, ng on init is it gets executed once the page is initialized by Angular. Then we can tap into on init and print it. So that's how ng on init is working. I'm able to print console.log. So typically, what we do is we will in ng on init we can call the backend service and then get the data. We'll look at it. So right now I just am printing console.log hello. But we need to still look at what's wrong with on changes. Why that's not getting called.
So on change, like where we are trying to change?
I'm changing the value of age.
Database? No.
No, on the UI.
Mhm.
So when you say ng model equal to age, then this is like the property, right? That's coming from the component. It is a two-way binding. So it will show what was initially assigned to the property on the UI. Like we assigned 20, it is showing. If we change it, then it will show, it will take the value back, and age will get a new value now. So when that happens, it's a change. It's a change in a property value, right? So when it's a change in a property value, it should trigger the ng on changes. So this should get called. This. G on changes. Product here. Oh. Mm. Let's change error message. Create one more input time. Text model error message. G model.
Did you make a website of Builder yourself?
Mm.
Really?
Mm.
Really cool. You made it. How many days it took you?
No, it's not like I mean, inputs were there from like the content came from multiple people, like some of my partners also.
Okay.
Yeah, the technical part, the skeleton and all that. So these changes. Let's see.
Scary.
Something doesn't work. Your best friend is Google.
I know.
Gene changes.
But they don't accept that in interviews.
Yeah. Yeah, they should not be asking syntax related
Just
questions.
cheaper.
G model. Model change. System manager. The function has to be called. Change. The model change. Change. Changes. Changes dot prop. Changes. Oh, I think it passed the value. So A is right. So I'll do A, H. Y, transport, change properties. Immediately after the default change, it has checked data one property one has changed and before the event content has checked. This drop. This change. Changes. And changes. Dot H. Oh, I think it's going to mess. We'll come back to that. So on the on changes, we'll look a little later. I don't know why it's not working. So for now, yeah. So there's ng on in it, ng on changes, and on destroy. So let's see. Destroy. Destroy. Right. Destroy. Let's see. No, I okay. Okay. See, I changed my page, so then it got destroyed. So if I'm in, let's say I go to this guy, right? I'm in this component now. This component is a product details component, which is showing this text box, this age and error message, two text boxes. I go back to the welcome component, then it got destroyed. So that's how, if you want to, let's say you want to, when you change the page, you want to destroy something, you want to release some memory, then you can do that. It's typically not used, mostly it is on init only that's used. And we will look at that. And I'll check why the on change is not working. Okay, so yeah, so now let's go into service. So the life cycle, yeah, so then we saw one-way binding and then two-way binding, right? Which is the NG model. NG model is two-way binding. And then one-way binding is, if you want to show page title, it's a property. You put that flower brackets and then you can show it. Or if you want to call a function, that's defined in your component on click of a button, then you can right click, then call that function, and it'll be called. I think we saw this last time. Yeah. Okay. So now let's look at today's content. So the first one is something called a service. Now, why you need a service in Angular? Let's say that I want to bring information from the database. I want to bring product information, and I want to show it in two different components or two different views, right? Then if I, how would I do it? Okay, let's say I want to bring products from the backend database and show it in two different components. Let's say I give you that assume that there is a service, HTTP service that goes and brings the data. So then if I have to show that data in two different components, the same data, right, then how, so what do you think I should do? I have a service that goes to the database and brings the information. And I have two components that is ready to show the data. So what should I do now? I should call the service, right? If I have to call the service, I have to call it from two different components, like both the components I have to call it. Now the service is common because the data is common. I want to show the same data. So I could define a service in Angular, and I can call it from n number of components. So if there is a same functionality or same data that you need to show in two different components, or you need to share the data, then you use the service.
Okay, got it.
Right? It's like a service.
Yeah.
Imagine a service is nothing but really it is serving you data.
Yeah.
That is the job of a service. Again, the service is nothing but a class. So component is a class, app module is a class, module is a class, even service is a class. What does, and it says, the other thing is it encapsulates external interactions. Means that let's say you are going and fetching data from, your job is to fetch the data from the database, but from the Angular side, you're only calling the service. Internally, it is managing, it is going, hitting the database, fetching it. For you, it is just a call to that service. Hey, get products. But so that's encapsulation, right? Encapsulation means it is not showing you the internals of how it is doing it. It is only, you're only interested in give me the data. Give me the data. I don't care how you go get it. You manage it. That's encapsulation, making the life of the user easy. Now, there's something called as dependency injection. It is a design pattern. So what dependency injection means is that when you, let's say there is class A and class B. Okay? Let's say class A, class B I want to use in class A. What can I do? How can I use it? In general, I want to use class B in class A. What should I do? Let's say in C# also, I want to use class B in class A.
Derived class? No. No. It's when you use the reference to the parent class, what is it called? What is it called?
I need to create an instance of class B in class A, right? See, that's how we, it's a simple, it's a,
I was
that's
talking
simple, right?
about
So we need to create a instance of so class A is let's say it has and height, of course. Just give that. Class B has the it has age and it has let's say 7. Of course. Now in class A, I want to use class B. Or I want to fetch the values of class B. What will I have to do? I have to get the, if I have to get the age here of the person, what should I do? I need to say class B new class equal to or let's say my class new of class B. Can I say this? C#.
Yeah.
What is this doing? It is only creating a new instance of this class B. Right? Then I can say my class dot age. What will it give? Give the age of the person. If there's an age for this person, it will give that age. This is not good programming. Why? Because you have created a hard dependency of class A on class B. Class A is now class A. If I have to create an instance of class A, class B instance has to be created because the class A logic has the logic to create an instance of class B.
Yeah.
If I don't create an instance of class B, class A, I cannot create an instance. It will fail. So this is not good programming. So there is something called as dependency injection. So what happens in dependency injection is, let's say this is class A, right?
So it moves them from the external source rather than creating them itself.
Yeah. So this is a class.
Yeah.
And then say, let's say I have a constructor. So it's a public class. Let's say class A. This is constructor. Remember constructors? I can do in the constructor, I can pass class B and say my class. Now what happens is that when I create an instance of class A, I'll say class A, let's say test class equal to new class A of class B. New class B. Oh, that's here. Let me break it up. Let's say class B, my class new of class B, and I pass my class. What's happening is that if I have to create an instance of class A, so every time I create so there is no hard dependency here. The dependency is from, it is getting passed from the constructor. The class is already ready when I create class A, and I'm passing it through my constructor. So here, right? Let's say in my class, I do my class dot age, right? If I do here my class dot age, this will get a value because my class is already a value. I can't create a class without having class B already created here in this scenario. It's that's an easy concept to get it. How should I explain this? Let's see. Let's say there is a interface called iCenter. Okay. Then there is an interface. Then there is a class called mail center, which derives from iCenter. Is this possible? What does this mean?
Yeah, that is possible.
derives. So what happens if you derive? So let's say I have interface iSend. If I derive mail send from iSend, what will be there in mail send?
It got all properties like from ISEN, right?
You will get the properties of
ISEN.
the iSend. And so will iSend contain any methods? Can it contain methods? Because since iSend is an interface,
It cannot.
Interface.
contain only declaration.
Declaration, nothing
So the
else.
signature of the method.
Yeah.
So what is the return type? What is the name of the method and what is the parameters that you contain? If you're deriving from iSend, then you have to implement the method here. Implement means you have to have a not just a declaration of the method, you need to have a definition. Means you need to tell what that method will do. Let's say iSend has a method called write down iSend. It has a method called send. Okay. So, now send mail derives from iSend. Then I have this is a class public class. Now what I need to do is for send, I need to say public send. And I need to have an implementation. So I'm sending an email. So send to XYZ email server. I'm just writing, right? The logic. I close this class. Now I have another one. Public class send SMS. I send. Public. I have a method. It derives again from the same interface. So I have to implement this method. I have to write the definition for the method, for the send method. Because I'm deriving from the interface, I can't just leave it. I have to write the definition. Definition means implementation. This is send to SMS server. These are my two classes. One is send SMS, one is send email, send mail. Both deriving from iSend. Now, I have functionality called send. Let's say I have another class. So we define one interface, two classes, and defining a third class. Say send info class public class send info. I want to send email. What should I do? I want to implement that here. What should I do? I want to send email. I want to send mail. Mail means email. What should I do in this class? This is my entry point, let's say. This is my main method. In the class, I have main method. Okay, let's keep it simple. Let's say in this class, I want to write the implementation to send email. What should I do?
So that public send mail class.
Okay, when you say refer, what should I do? Send mail, right? I create an instance. Send mail, my mail equal to new send mail. Agree? Then I'll say my mail dot send, which is a method which actually does it. Email goes, right? Now tomorrow I want to send. I want this send mail to send. I want to send method, send info method to send SMS. What should I do? I want the send info class to send SMS.
We need to change send mail to that other send SMS.
Change.
Yeah.
This
No,
is how I'm going to change. So this code is already written. Now what I have to do? This is where dependency injection helps. So what happens is, see now this has a hard dependency on send mail. Now if I instead, let's say that this is in a method, right? Send information. The method actually. We can't write code directly in the class, so we need a method, right? It's actually in the method. So send info information is the method. Now, send information. Every time I call send information, it will send a message to. It will send a mail. It can't send SMS because it's a hard dependency. You coded it, hardwired it. Rather, there is a concept called dependency injection. What that says is, don't create the instance of the class here. Pass it in the constructor. What do I pass? I send. I send like this. Okay. Here, so the new implementation with dependency injection is public class and info. The method is send public send information. So send info is a constructor also. As a constructor, can I have a constructor in the class? I will say I send. I send. So here I would say I'm just declaring a variable, private, a variable of type I send. It repeats. Name of the variable is I send. In my constructor, I'm going to say send info. Constructor needs to have the same name as the class. I say I send. I send. In the constructor, underscore I send equal to I send. I can say this dot underscore send, which is this one. Okay. Now I have this. What I'm trying to solve here, send information method. We have not come to that yet. Send information method. I'll say this dot underscore I send dot send. Lovely. This is another method. This is the send method. This is the send information method we are trying to replace. Okay. Now here, the send information method. In this piece of code, are we creating an instance of a class, either the send mail or the send SMS? We are not. What we are doing is, in the constructor of the class, I am passing the interface definition. So when I create an instance of this class, I will say send info, my info equal to new send info, I would say send mail, say new send mail. Oh, simplify this. That's it. So this is in the main class. Remember, there's a main, let's say, console application. There's a main method. So I say send. I want to send mail. So I say send mail. My mail equal to new send mail. Now this my mail I passed into this send info class. Now what happens is that if I want to send email, I'll create an instance in the main and pass it to this class. This class, since the constructor is receiving a parameter of isend, it can receive both send mail and send SMS, because it's an interface from which both these classes are deriving.
Yes.
So there is no hard coding. My send info class is not tightly coupled with send mail or send SMS. I can use this class to do anything, to do either of these two jobs. Depending on what you want to do, you call it by passing the which class you want to do the send, right? Whether you want to send mail or sending SMS, you pass the instance of that class to the constructor. This is dependency injection. Dependency injection is we are injecting a dependency from the constructor. There's no tight coupling. See, that's what this means. So to explain the three lines, we have to understand this whole thing. So a coding pattern in which a class receives the instance of objects called dependencies from an external source rather than creating them itself. What is an external source? The external source is you got it from here. You got it from here rather than the class creating it itself. Got it from outside. So this pattern is used in Angular. So we will look at that. So remember this send mail and send SMS is the concept, is the example. Okay. Should I take it up?
This is like instead of having traditional restaurants in the past, you have now take home delivery, like better version in programming, Angular, right? It's making it more flexible.
Dependency injection is there even in C#.
Really?
It's there. But it's an advanced concept.
Yeah.
We don't need to. This one here, they provide it by default.
Okay.
So in C#, it's not by default, but here in.
Is it an interview question?
Oh, yeah, it is.
Okay.
So services are passed using dependency injection. Okay. Now, what is the building service? What does it entail? Same like building a component. Remember, component, service, they're all having the same syntax. It is their what functionality they do is like for what purposes they're used is different. So when you're building a service, you need to create the class, just like you create a component class. you need to define a metadata using that decorator, and then you import to the top whatever you need. So, for example, if I have to show you a service, this is a oh no, this is not a service. I'll show you a service. Okay. So for the service, for the component, we said export class product component. For the service, is export class product service. Service is convention is that you put a service word in the end so that you know it is a service. Then in component, we did at component. Here we are doing at injectable. I'll tell you what at injectable is.
Where actually we are coding this, I mean, in which folder?
Yeah, so I created a folder called shared because this is a service is something that will be shared by components, right? I created a folder called shared and I created that in that shared folder. See, your Angular CLI is very powerful. So if you do ng generate ng service. So if you do ng help, it will tell you what are the options available. Ng generate ng help. If you want help on generate, then you do ngg. Oh, ngg.
Good.
Okay. ngg, yeah, and then ng is your CLI. ng is it's always there. G is for short for generate, and then I'm saying service. Okay, and then give the name of the service. Let's say I want to create in shared. I say shared folder / give the name. Let's say order, right? I just say this, and you see it will create the. It should create the file. Yeah. So it created order service order.service.ts order.service.spec.ts. Spec.ts is more for testing, which we are not covering. So if I open this, you can see it created a template. Same thing for components. You don't have to write the components actually. I say ng g the component. Let's say I want to create test component. Right? I just say test and say enter. By default, it will create under app. So if I go here, there should be a test component now. See, test. If I open it, it has all the files already created and kept for us, including the TS, HTML, CSS. You just need to fill it. Whatever you want to fill, you can fill. So this command, this CLI, which is the command line interface for Angular, is very powerful. Okay. So now, so we were looking at service. So let's go back to service. So in shared, so you remember you can create your services in a folder called shared because it's something that will be shared by different components.
Always it should be like that.
Yeah, it's a shared. Your classes, you put it in model, right? Your model is nothing but if you remember, even in your C#, you have ASP.NET MVC, you have models, right? Which you use data which is used to show in the UI. So that is model is where you put the classes. Then for each component, you create a separate folder, and that folder will contain the TS file, the HTML file, the CSS file for that component. Now, if I look at product.service.ts, this is a service. Now, the service doesn't have any selector. There's no view for a service because its only job is to give you service, right? It doesn't do the job of giving a view. The job of the view is done by the component. Similarly, no template URL, no CSS because there's no view, then no CSS. Now, in this injectable decorator provided in :root means it is available for all the components. So this means that this service is available for all the components. If you declare it like this, in the service, you have an @injectable decorator, and within that you say provided in :root means starting from the root, I will serve all the components in this module. Is what it means. Now, yeah. So root injector service is available throughout the application. It's recommended for most scenarios. That's what you will be using. There is also you can define a component injector, which means that you define it at a component level only. So it will be available only for that component. Yeah. So if you want to define a service, so here you can see it is defined for the root. If you want to define it for the component, then within the component, let's say go to the component. So let's say go to any component here. Along with these three options, I have one more option, comma, providers, put the name of the service, product, service. Now it's available only for this. The service can be used only in this component. If I get rid of the other one, there's the other one defined. It's defined in the service. If I get rid of this, then it will be available only for that component. But we want to make it available to all components. We don't want this. I'm going to get rid of it. So that is so when we do an @injectable, it is and put as provided in single quotes root, then it's a root injector. Otherwise, it's a per component injector. Then we saw the syntax. We saw this one as well, like how the data we discussed this. Yeah. So now we are ready to go into the
Your students are ready.
ready to go into the service to fetch the data. You guys feel like taking a break?
Yeah, let's just walk around.
Yeah. So we have service and we have routing to cover. We'll take a 10-minute break. Just pause this guy. So here, this service that we have written now, let's say that I just I'll just comment this guy out. Now I'm hard coding the value. Okay. Product.service and my product list. I'm calling I'm going to comment this guy. And I'm going to call this So what I'm doing here is in the ng on init for product list, I am doing this dot. Okay, so first thing we talked about dependency injection. See here in the constructor, the service is being injected using the constructor. So this is a component, product list component. I want to use the service. Rather than creating an instance of the service, I am passing the service through the constructor of the component, and then I can directly use the service. Now, all that part where we have to create an instance, then pass it to the constructor is all taken care by Angular. All we need to do is pass the service in the constructor, and it will be available in the component. So how do you pass it? Private is the declaration. It means that it's private to this component. Prod service, you can give any name, right? This is a instance of the product service. So this is the name of the product. Product service is what we have defined, where in the product.service.ts, product service. So to use it in the component, I am injecting it through the constructor, and now it's available in my component. Once it's available in my component, what am I doing? I'm saying this dot products. Products is nothing but a list of iProduct equal to this dot prod service dot get products. So what's get products? It's a method in my service. What does that method do today? Right now? Here it is. This is a method. I just hard coded it. And I'm saying return this array. This hard coded array. We're going to run it. So. Okay, if I go to product list, I see 2 entries. Where did these 2 entries come from? Here. These are the 2 entries. Make sense? Now, I don't want to hard code. I'm going to comment this guy out. Now, if I don't want to hard code, now I want to bring the data from the backend, which means I want to go and hit my web API. To hit my web API, the web API can be a .NET web API, or it can be a Java web API. So you can even hit your husband's web API. Because it's a Java, he does Java, right?
Yeah.
So if he has a web API, then you can even call his web API. So here, for that, we use something called a HTTP client class. This is something that is given by Angular. We are not writing this. It's just like our service where we were injecting in the constructor, we inject the HTTP client. We're calling it HTTP, it's private.
Your student is calling you.
No, it's my kid is part of a soccer thing. So they are having a game, so they are messaging each other.
High velocity? No.
No, Rush.
Oh.
Michigan Rush. So that HTTP client is in at Angular common /HTTP. This is where it resides. This is given by Angular to us. So we're just using it. Now, once I include that, then I have written a method called get products. What does this do? There is some concepts here that we need to understand. Let's go back to the slide deck. There is a concept called observables and reactive extensions. Something that is used to, this is something that is used to um, call a service and get the data. So this concept is used. So observable RX extensions or reactive RxJS or reactive extensions is nothing but the library, right, that they give. We'll see that. And that library, it contains so something called observables. What is observables? Observables is nothing but the data we receive from a service. We receive it as observables, right? And the data that is coming is asynchronous. What does asynchronous mean?
We did it in Ajax.
So when you call a service, you don't wait for the response. You go ahead with the remaining execution. Whenever the data is available, it will come. That is asynchronous. Now, the observables, it tracks events as a collection. So it's an array whose elements arrive asynchronously over time. So an observable is like a, you can say it's like an array where data arrives asynchronously. Okay. Now, data arrives in the observables only when somebody is subscribed to it. Somebody has to subscribe to it. Who will subscribe to it?
Customers, users that.
Yeah, like a component can subscribe to it. Like a component will subscribe to it, and then it will, whenever the data is available, it will give it to the component. That is the concept. Okay. If you see an example, here we are saying get products. It is a method. Okay. This is the return type of the method. Colon. See, generally methods, how you write is say get chocolates. Okay. Then you say colon. Then you indicate the return type. Void means don't return anything. Double brackets. This is the syntax. Same thing here. Get products is a method of return type observable of iProduct array. Means what? Observable is a collection like a bucket, and it is waiting to receive data of type iProducts. Right? We are saying that it is of type iProduct. Then we say return this dot HTTP. It is what we have defined here. It is of type HTTP client. Dot get. It is a method in the HTTP client. Again, we say what is the format of the data that we get back. So that is also in the format of iProduct. It's an array of iProduct. And then what is the URL? This is the URL. What is the URL we want to hit? Is this URL, where the data we will get from. Dot pipe. We say pipe because we want to do tap and catch. What is tap? Tap means you're tapping into the, so when data is coming from the service, you're just tapping and seeing what is there in that, what is coming. It's like you're seeing. That is what this tap does. And catch error is if there is any error in the transmission of data, then that catch error will be called. These are all keywords. Tap, catch error. Now, so when you hit this URL, we are expecting it to return data in this format, the iProduct format. Well, actually, it doesn't actually return it in the. It returns it as JSON format, but it gets converted to the iProduct class. So what happens here is, let me show you So this one is nothing but our web API that we have written some time back. So I'm going to launch that web API. It's already running, but let me relaunch it. So if you see this web API, it is an order controller deriving from API controller. It has a method called get all products. It has a method called get products. It has a method called get products and takes an ID as a parameter. And if that ID matches the list of products that we have here, then it returns that product. So it is like returning a particular product, right? Those are the methods we have. I'm going to run this now. Oh. When you run a web API, what happens? Settings. Mm, So it's not supposed to show that page. Package stuff. All that. Check. What's this? Delete my cache.
So which website you're using to study? Which website you're using to study? Tutorial teacher. It's good. You check. I like use YouTube. I always find everything there. Now I'm going to study now seriously. Don't even know. It's a tutorial teacher, right? So did you call the priest and do puja, or did you do your puja with the YouTube video, like Panditji was reciting? The Satyanarayan Katana people put on the YouTube. Panditji from India. Oh yeah, or that they were doing in 2005 in Richmond. She
Cache was. Oh, people do that?
oh yeah, it's everything is high tech.
Okay. For watching that PK movie, I'm not sure if
Yeah, Amir
how
Khan.
much Panditjis are useful. Okay. So I just ran that. So the cache was the problem. I cleared the cache, and so we're back in business. So when you run the web API, there's no UI, right? You remember you don't get a UI, so it kind of shows you this message. So what happens is if you go to the browser and say order slash API slash product list. Oh, okay, products. Get products. Okay. Order API. Oh, API order. API slash order. Okay. This is how you get the information from a web API. If you remember, this is the response that this is how you see the response from a web API because it doesn't have its own interface. You can hit it from a browser. So, for example, here, right, what I did is I'm hitting the get products method. So if I put a breakpoint, so if I do this, see, it came here. And then it's returning this product list. The product list is what? It contains these 3 products. Okay. So I just say continue and it returns these. Now, this is the information we are trying to return in our Angular code. Okay. So if I come here, the URL is same here. Same URL I'm hitting. Okay. Now, this get products is a method that is there in the service. It's returning observables. Now, when you call this method from a component, like right here, you just can't directly call the method. Now you have to subscribe to it. Now what I'm doing, I'm saying this syntax is still here, it's the same. This dot prod service dot get products is the name of the method. But now since it's returning observables, I say dot subscribe. Now dot subscribe method takes 3 parameters. Yeah. Subscribe takes, first is the function, what to do next. When I get a response, what to do. Second is if there's an error, what to do. Third is once the whole data can come in chunks, depending on not chunks, but depending on when the server sends data, you may receive it. See, in our case, we are sending a request, we're getting a response. Data will come as only one time. But there are systems where the server will continuously keep sending data. Right. So for example, if you take a system like a phone, right? There's something called a soft phone. Just like a hard phone, you have a soft phone that runs on, in call centers. The agents, they take the call on the soft phone, right? It's a phone running on the machine. For them, they are not initiating any action on the client saying, "Hey, show me this product or show me a call." The calls are coming. Outside when they call, the calls come. So even without they initiating, asking for it, the calls keep coming. So that is possible. There are systems like that. But in our case, we are requesting something, then we are getting a response. What is our request? We refresh the page. When we refresh the page, we are sending a request saying, "Hey, I want this." Then the server sends us something. So in our case, we will really, this complete function doesn't apply to us because all the data will come in the next function. There's nothing to do in a complete function. But in some scenarios, the next function will only return some data. And then the complete function will be called when all the data is returned. But in a HTTP request, HTTP response kind of scenario, the next function will return the whole thing. There is no need of a complete function. Okay. So that's what we are doing here. So we are calling the next function and the error. So this is how we write it. So we said dot subscribe, then products equal to greater than this dot products equal to products. What is this? What is this products? This dot products, anytime you see this, it means that it is a property that is there in the component. So this dot products, which is this, equal to products. Why did I say products? Because I said products here. I can say this also. So whatever you specify here is what is coming back. So that is what you're assigning. That's what it means. So similarly, then if there is any error, then we're putting that in the this dot error message. This error message is defined here. It's a string. Okay. Now let's call this. When I call this, these are yeah. It's not here. It's not here. It's not here. Let's close these things out. Let's do one. Does not exist on type I product. deployed successfully. Product list.component.ts. Subscribe does not exist on type I product. Get products. Okay. Complaining. I product. Get products. Get products. Dot subscribe. This dot products equal to product. So super that error. One should be the same. Products. Set parameter. Subscribe does exist on type. Oh, I don't know why it's expecting this to be the same. If we do this, it doesn't like it. No. Yeah, it's okay. This error is consistent. So products property subscribe does not exist on type I product. Product. Let's see what's going on here. Type product. Go to any subscribe. Products. Go ng. So minus O. Sorry. 34. Values. Fail to compile. Wow. F12. G on and void. This dot products equal to products, comma error. This dot error message equal to any error. Dot subscribe. What is wrong with this? Same one here too. See. Sky. Two more changes. This dot product equal to products. Error. This dot error message equal to any. School quite successful. Let's clear it up. Geez, so sometimes you end up spending time debugging. Oh, still the other discussion. Oh, this guy is not saved. See, if there is a circle, means it's not saved. There's a circle, now it's okay.
Where did you get that?
Is that you sent it to last table was
I don't have it. I have event binding. Last. Eight. Yeah, this is my last. Take or over. Are there two slides? We're talking about this, right? See one. I just got one on.
Kevin was there in the list.
Huh?
You are there in main list.
January 10th, right? What page is that? What slide is that?
Okay.
What's the number?
Five.
I didn't get it. Ashwin, I didn't get that.
The previous one? I'll send it to you.
You are
Yeah.
there in main list.
See?
Shalini,
See, I just got this one. SQL Server 1, it has 23.
What is the class? What does it say? Class 5? The name of the slide?
slide 5. Slide
Yeah.
5.
What does it say for you?
.NET.
What's the name of the slide deck?
5.
This is the one, right? Yeah.
Where is mine?
We'll take a look at it.
Okay.
So here now with observable, right?
So what was the problem?
This file was not saved. So earlier we had written a get products. We committed out this. We were doing this hard code. So we committed out this, but it was not saved. So it was getting confused. Now, so now what's happening is that we are calling this web API. So how do we know we are calling it? Let's put a breakpoint. Yeah, so this guy, right? Let's put a breakpoint. Now, if I click on this, is when that will get called. See, get products. Because I have written a function, I have written code. When I click on this, that's when this this component is called the list component, product list component. And inside the product list component, there is the service is getting called get products. Now, get products is what it's doing. It's going and hitting this web API URL, and then that's how this control has come here. So now, if I continue, now 3 have come. Why 3 has come? Because there are 3 here. So you see, from the client, we made a hit to the server. It's not getting it from the database, but on the server, I have created an array of 3 values in the controller, which is on the server, and it's passing back these values, the product list. Any questions? So this is the HTTP, how you use observables with HTTP client. And when you are using observables, from whichever component you're calling that observable service method, you need to say .subscribe. Right? This is in the service, and this is where we're calling it, saying .subscribe. Now, this can be anything. It can be even product. It doesn't matter. That's only a name. So, yeah, should compile fine. Yeah, see it called again, and the values are shown on the UI here. Okay. Now,
so that is a syntax, right, for subscribe and all?
Yeah, subscribe is the syntax. So this is the syntax for subscribe. Okay, so that's how the HTTP client service is used to hit the web API and get a response back. You can show it on the UI. Now we will next topic is navigation. Navigation and routing. So routing and navigation means that what do you mean here is the menus, right? When you want to navigate from one page to another, when you click on a menu item, how does it know that it has to show this page? When it clicks on the next menu item, how does it know it has to show another page? Here, when we say another page, what we really mean is a component. Because remember, a component has a view. So it is that view is what we're showing. Okay. So what we do is we configure a route for a component. And then we tie that route to so we create something called like a route array, and we define a route array where we say if this is the path, then go to this component. I'll show you that. So that if you do it in the app.module.ts file. So here, if you come to the imports section, now for that routing concept, right? Routing means to navigate from one page to another. You have to have something called a router module. So for the router module is included. We do an import of the router module from @angular/router. So you remember when you were installing the application, when you were creating the application, it asks, should I include Angular router or not? So this is the router.
So we don't need to do anything, right?
Yeah, you have to include this here. So this thing is, you have to write this. So it doesn't know. So what's there here? So to be able to write this, right, you need the router module, and the router module you get by doing an import. So it installs the router module for you, but you need to import it. That's what that step does. And then here you say router module dot for root, and what we are saying here is for if your path means the URL path, if it contains products, then load this component. If the path contains welcome, then load the welcome component. If the path contains product / ID, which means product / some IDs can be some number, then load this component. If the path contains nothing, then redirect it to welcome. And the path match is full, means the whole thing has to be empty. When I say the whole thing, the server : port is always there. Anything after that, if it's empty, then it will be redirected to welcome. Whenever you are doing this path equal to empty, you have to set path match equal to full, : full, right? It's a full, match it completely. If path is ***, means wildcat, which means that there is some letters, but it is neither empty nor does it match any of these, then it will go to page not found component. So we are defining a page not found component as well, like an error page, which we can show. So all these components have actually been defined here. So the welcome.
We are getting like if we put something wrong, then we are getting this page not found, right?
In the URL, yes. So all these components are actually defined. I have already defined them. If you see, where's the welcome component? Here. What does it contain? Welcome to Brillo-Tech, blah, blah, blah. This is the TS file. So similarly, what does the page not found contain? Just page not found. Just page not found component box. Page is not found. Error occurred. This is what is navigation. So I'll just execute it, and then we can look at the syntax further. So I just click next, come back here. So here, let's say I don't give anything. We get rid of this breakpoint. Click enter. Went to welcome.
Because empty, you put it up.
Welcome. Correct. If it is products, go to products. If it is products /1, go to a different page. This is the detail page. So that's how it. So I mean, you won't typically come and you won't want to like type there. What we do is we hook it up to these menu items. So if I click welcome, it is a welcome. Because welcome is there, it is loading the welcome component. So how did I hook up this menu item to this URL? Because when I click this is loading. When this loads, it loads this component, loads the component. So if I come here, if I come to the home page, here is where I have defined. So this is our base component, right? This is our app module, base root module. In that there is a app component. It is a root, like the root component basically. Here what I have done, I have defined, I've used some bootstrap classes and I've defined like a navigation bar. So you can see there's a light color here. And see it. So let me make it NG BG dark. Yeah, you can see now, right? So you can see here, but this guy is like hidden now. I mean, it's almost like not visible. This is the title. Where this guy is coming from? Here. It's coming from the class. So now this navigation bar is all bootstrap. Now coming to the how do I link that URL to the menu item? See here what I have done. I have added an anchor class. let's say I don't have this. Just for your understanding, I comment these guys out and I get rid of this router link. Just for simplicity's sake, so that you can understand. Okay. If I show this one, let's see what happens. See, these guys, nothing happens, doesn't change. If I click, you can see the welcome, right? Welcome in product list. What is causing it to make this URL change? It's still an anchor tag. What's an anchor tag? Like a link. Anchor is a link. A tag is an anchor tag. Anchor tag is like this. So let me show you. So it's an HTML tag, anchor.
Yeah, anchor.
So if I say href equal to empty, and I say click me. See here, click me. It's an anchor tag. But I said href is empty, so it doesn't do anything. It keeps coming to the same page. So that's what an anchor tag is. Anything which you have to make clickable, you make it an anchor tag. Those menu items need to be clickable, so that's why we put an anchor tag. Now this is a bootstrap class. That's to give it a style. Now, where our route, where the route part is coming, where it is linking to the URL is here, this part. We say router link equal to /welcome. Means what? To the base, which is the server name : port, then put a slash and put welcome. That's what this means. Next one is /products. Put a /products. That's what it's doing actually. So if I just comment this guy, if I get rid of this guy, and if I uncomment this guy, I just do this. See now, it's changing in the top. That's what its job is. We are telling this guy, you change the top. Once the top is changed, this guy will kick in. As soon as he detects that the top is changed, he'll go and look which component I have to load now, and he loads the component. Now, where to load the component? That is specified in router outlet. Router's outlet tag is where it goes and loads the component. Say, comment this guy. Top, it's changing, but nothing's happening here. It doesn't know where to load the component. So once you give a router outlet, then it knows, okay, once you click here, I will load this. I know I have to load this component, and I have to know I have to load it here because the router outlet is here. All this code is sitting where? In the base component, app.component. Make sense? Now, when I click this, when I go to welcome, what happens? It changes the URL. It did. Then it goes and checks the app.module. Oh, what's there for welcome? Welcome component. Okay, then let me go to welcome component. It searches for welcome component. What's there in welcome component? This stuff is there. Welcome to bibliotex. Where do I load it? I load it where there is a router outlet.
This is an app component.
Yeah, router outlet is here. If I put the router outlet a little up, it will load it there. The anchor tag will go down. Now the click me should go down. As soon as come here, it's gone down. Make sense? Yeah. Now, this is good. Now clicking the menu items, changing is good. Now I want to take it one more step further. I made this also anchor tag, which means that when I click this, I want to load one more component where I can see the details of quotes. Right? How do I do that? Now this table is there in product list, whatever we are seeing here. Right? So you have app component, which is the base component. Then you have a welcome component, app component, app module, in that app component. Then you have welcome component. Then you have product list component. Then you have product detail component. 3 components, like 3 subcomponents. So here in the product list component, I am saying in the anchor tag, in the TD, in the table, instead of just showing product.name, see what happens? I just do this. I get rid of this guy. I get rid of this whole anchor tag. I don't need the anchor tag, right? I just comment this guy out. Control KC. Refresh. Gone. No anchor tag. Now, first step, let me add an anchor tag. This guy, I want to bring him inside. I want to show him within the anchor tag. Control X. Anchor tag. Oh, I need to say href. See, became anchor tags. But do they do anything? Well, it's going to component. See, what happens is, right, they, when I click this, since I did href equal to empty, see down, it's going to the base. See down here. When I say down here, the URL, like this guy here. Here, this guy. As soon as I keep it there, you can see something shows up. Because I said href equal to empty, that's why it is going to the base. That is the default HTML behavior.
Okay.
So when you go to the base, what is base? Welcome. Because we said in the route, if base is empty, if that is empty, then go to welcome. It's going to welcome. Now I'll put the anchor tag. Let's say I put hash. Same thing. Okay. So now I get rid of this href. I don't need it. Now what I add the router link. Router link equal to double quotes. I'll say single quote open slash products. There's an important thing here, comma. I'm saying product.id. Close. Square bracket close. What is this comma product.id? This is a parameter. If I want to pass a parameter, slash products slash 1. If I want to do that, then I do like this. It's like I give it like a parameter. Okay, so let me save this. See here what happens. See the bottom. Product slash 1, product slash 2, product slash 3, the bottom. You can see it?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now if I click this, what will happen? It went somewhere else. Why? Because we said in our app.module that product/ID, there is a value. Then go to product details component.
Okay.
So in product details component, what is there? They go to that. Here in the constructor, I'm using a concept called activated route. Using that activated route, I'm getting the ID value. Then I'm passing that ID value in another to another the same service. There was another method, get product details with an ID. It takes an input as an ID. So if you see in that product service.ts, one was get products, another is get product details, passing a parameter ID. What am I doing here? I'm passing this ID as a, in the URL itself, I'm saying get products, question mark, ID equal to that ID. When I do that, it comes and hits this method. See again, let's do that. So if I go back, see, what is ID? 1. This is a function, this is a method that takes one parameter. See in the browser, okay, let me do this. That was Angular, right? Let's forget Angular for a minute. I'll open another browser. Oh. HTTP. Yeah, this guy. From a browser, I'm saying /1. What's going to happen? Same thing. Why? See, when I'm hitting it from the browser, my way of approaching it is /1 in the end. But if I have to send it through Angular, I have to put a question mark, then say ID equal to the value. How does this, let's see in the browser, right? So if I come here, let's do an F12. See all the, if I go to network, I can, okay, go back here. Printing. Oh, something is reading here, looks like. Okay, continue this guy. Okay. If I come here, click here, see the method call actually. See the actual HTTP call is visible here. See, this is a HTTP call. It's a HTTP request. How did it go? It went as get products, question mark, ID equal to 1. If I click that, then you can see here, this is the whole, so this whole thing goes from the client, from the browser, it goes to the server. And then it says ID, my value of ID equal to 1. And that's how this guy knows that ID, I have to give a value of 1. Get it? No? Okay, good. You should ask.
How
Yeah.
how did ID get 1?
Okay. So ID got 1 because in the browser, right? Okay, let me show you one more thing. Maybe this will also work. Get products, question mark, ID equal to 1. See, I still got it. Okay. From the browser also, I can either say /1 or I can say.
But that's Web API method also.
Yeah.
First is get product, and then it is get product 1. That's how it is, the method, right?
Yeah, the method is written like that.
Yeah. So it always.
So this method is written as, instead of ID, I say, let's say IDS. Let's see what happens. Run it. Error. Oh, because it doesn't understand what is this ID. IDS. Rebuild. Success. Run. So when you run, now the server is running, and it's waiting. Somebody will send me a request. Somebody will send me a request. And call it. Somebody will give me a love letter or something like that. He's waiting.
Somebody will marry me.
Somebody will marry me. So he's waiting now. Now what I'll do, the server is running. See, you see here, it's running. Server is running. So if I come here, actually, see this guy? This is your server. When you run from Visual Studio, there is a server called the development server. It's also called Cassidy, or it's called IIS Express. Is the one that's running. See, any application, any server, for any application for it to listen on a port, it has to run on a server. It needs a host. Like if I have to come to your home, you have to host me, right? Similarly, this application is like me coming to you, your IIS, you're hosting it, saying, okay, I will host you. Let's say there is somebody is not well, right? Shalini is really good, so they come to Shalini's home. Shalini feeds them food, and then now they're ready. They're healthy now. So now people can talk to that person because now he's healthy. So that's how the job of the server is. Like you're a server. You're making the application ready, and you're saying that okay, this application is listening on this port, this URL and this port. What is the URL and port it's listening on? This one, localhost 526063. This is the port that it's listening on, the application. Now, I want to talk to the application. That's when we start to put these parameters. I say API/order/get products. As soon as I say get products, hit it. It gave me 3 values. How did it give me 3 values? Because it came and it came here. So let's do it again. See, it came here. So this is fine. Let it execute. Now we change this to IDS. Let's see what happens. See, if I put the value of 1, it didn't go. Why it didn't go here? Because we said in our web app API.config file that if you are passing a value, any value at the end, that will get passed to. Where did I go? Okay. Yeah. We are saying that when you pass a value, if the parameter is ID, then this will understand that it is ID. If it is IDS, it doesn't know that it has to come to this method. Now what I'll do is I will do another change. I will say question mark IDS equal to 1. Oh yeah. So see it came now. So now, no matter what value you give here, I am giving it in a different way. I'm not giving it the web API way. See, in web API way, it doesn't want you to give a question mark, IDS and all. It directly wants you to say this. But the traditional way, since long time, if you want to pass parameters to an application, you can pass it like this. Name of the parameter equal to 1. Again, I can say and IDA equal to 2. So if I come here in IDN, let's say. Run. Okay. Let's say slash okay, come here, say question mark IDS equal to 1 and IDN equal to 2. To what? Okay, this is going in a different direction. Once you become more advanced, then you will kind of get it. So right now it is like See, the web API, the way it has defined the syntax is pass it to me like this: action / the ID, value 1. Now, from Angular side, when you're passing it using a get, you pass it the old way. If I say /1, right, it won't understand, I think. Let's try that. I'll say /1, just 1. No value here. Or I say, oh, I say, /code plus ID. I think this works. Let's see.
Ashwin, how do you get that thing, that bar thing on the corner? What is that?
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Diagnostic tools.
Oh, this guy?
That's right.
It's running. Yeah, it's running.
So how do you get that?
It's a view and I think diagnostic tool.
Okay.
Somewhere there here. It's just a setting. You just get rid of it.
I always wonder, where did you get it from?
So now with Angular, I did like this. Okay, I'm going to run it. Here's the Angular guy. Oh, here it is. Okay. Yeah, so I think this one also. Let's come here. Products. Now I click on code. Let me clear this guy. Codes. See, it still came to product list. It didn't come here. Oh, these guys are different.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we changed it. Oh, okay. So we just, let's go back to ID, okay? Just tuck, 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 tuck. Okay, so now I'm going to come here and say product list. Came here, which is good. And go to codes. Oh, see, it came. Yeah, code value 1. So you can even do that. Instead of saying question mark, instead of plus ID, and he gets it. Same thing as what we are putting in the browser, right? Same thing we are putting. Okay. See, this is a get. Now there is post also. See, put generally we don't do. We say post or get. Post is also there.
Put is update, right? Post is.
Oh, put is update or delete. You can do update and delete also.
Okay.
Post, generally we use post and we do update and delete both. You can do it. Yeah. So this is the way you can do the route either using the menus, or you can do the route by clicking a link within the application itself. See, all components you're calling actually. Main app component, then welcome component you showed product list component. Then in the product list component, when I clicked, I showed a product detail list, all components. And all these components are sitting in one file, which is index.html. Index.html has app root. Where is app root? App root is the app.component.ts, which is the base component. So it's a single page application. See, another thing to keep in mind is that I forgot to tell you is the href equal to slash. Base href equal to slash means your base URL is the server : port. That's your base. Now, whatever you are specifying here in the route module, we said products. It's actually taking server : port / products. So since we defined base as in the index.html, we don't have to define the whole thing.
So just put href equal slash there.
Yeah, you put there href equal to slash and then we're good.
Will they ask these questions in the interview?
Yeah. You have to try it. You have to do the examples. Then you have to you get the concepts. Any questions? I think we are pretty much at the end of it. Yeah, I think we covered navigation services, HTTP calls. So we are able to, oh, okay. Now, what is happening when we are, when we did ng serve /o? There is a server that's running here on the Angular side, right? Did you guys see that? Let me show you again. ng serve /o. See, it's starting a server. See, Angular live development server is listening on this port. If there was no server, we can put that URL in the browser and see the Angular contents. It's opening the browser now. See, we can't see it like this if there was no server to host it. Yeah, if it was a static page, HTML page, we can just see it. We don't need a server. But since it's dynamic, data is coming from somewhere, we're showing it, you need a server. How many servers are we using here? Like when we did from the Angular, we sent a HTTP request to the web API and got the response back. How many servers we are using? One.
I saw in the diagram. I saw one.
So one. Okay. What about in the actual execution? So two, right? One is here for Angular. The second one is for Visual Studio. Web API.
Yeah.
It is also running on a server
Web
here.
API, yeah. That's why he asked the question.
IS Express.
Oh yeah, okay. Angular one is running, always running there, right?
Separately, as it is running on 4200 port, this is running on a different
Okay.
port. Both are running and they are talking to each other,
Okay.
right? Now, in a real production scenario, you won't have two servers. You'll have only one server. I'll show you that now. What is that one server? This is important so that you know that when you're deploying an application, an Angular application, how you do it. Since we don't have a full-fledged server here, I will show you using the IIS dev server, which is a development server. So here, right, when you say ng serve or ng build, what it does is it generates the files that you need that you can take and deploy on a standalone server. I'm no more. I will no more use the Angular ng Lite development server. Whatever we saw here, right? Whatever the name was. Here there was a server. When we start, yeah, here Angular live development server. I don't want to use that. What I do, I generate the files that are needed. Where did it generate? It creates a folder called distribution, DIST here. So if I open it in the in my machine, see here, distribution, all these files. Now what I do, I copy these files. Okay, come here. Let me stop this guy. Come here. I go to the root, right click, open folder, and I paste it here. Okay. Now I will run this application. There's no Angular running. There's no Angular running. Angular is stopped. Say I'm at the command prompt. There's nothing running here. But still I got my Angular application. I click here. I got the products. Click here, I got it. So still the call is going to the web API. Now remember what I told you here. Yeah. The HTML and the JS files are downloaded. Let's check. Let me hit this URL again. Function F12. Network, right? I'm going to hit this URL. Control F5. Here, JS files got downloaded. These JS files we actually copied over to the server. We copied over here, right? All the JS files are. So if I come here, let's say show all files. Show all files. Collapse now. See here, these files are all there here. These all JS files are there on the server. They are all there here on the development server. Okay. But when I ran it from a browser, those JS files they got downloaded. That's how it is. They get downloaded. But my controller and the controller method, they're still on. They run on the server. They don't run local on the local client machine. Now see these guys are still here. The methods, the web API methods. Even when I have my Angular files or my JS files and my HTML file in the same server, when I hit that server, see, my method got hit. So this is how it happens in production. All these files sit on the same server, but the JS files will get downloaded to the client. Yeah, so that's how it works. So in real production, so what happens is in Visual Studio, right? Even these web API files, there are a lot of files here. So if I right click here and I go and I say open folder in File Explorer, there's so many files, all these folders. Do I need all this? No. When I want to deploy in production, I don't. What I do is I come here, I say publish. Publish will generate the files, which is DLLs, that will actually be deployed on the production server. So what I do is pick the publish target. I'm just going to put it locally. Say bin release publish. Okay, and I'm going to say publish. So it's doing the publish now. So it published some files. So let's go and see what it published. On my local machine. So this is what is there in the publish folder. 1, 2, global.asx, web.config, and in the bin I have all the DLLs. That's all I need. How many? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 files. As compared to if I come here, there are like so many controller, model, all that. I don't need all that. Right? That's how it happens in production. You use the publish command to generate the DLLs that are needed from Visual Studio. On the Angular side, you do ng build. It gives you the set of things, and then you deploy everything on the server.
It's so scary. So many things.
It takes time.
Yeah.
Like learn it, practice it. So the assignment will actually make you do all this. So the assignment
Is it related to the previous assignment? Oh
Same
no, I have to do
assignment.
that.
Same assignment.
Oh my god, I
Do
have
it
to do that
using-
from the scratch and then
do-
do this. Oh my god.
So same thing.
Do this then first.
Okay,
Do Angular.
okay.
Same thing. Product order. Product order vendor. Be able to add a product, be able to add a vendor, be able to add an order. Once you add it, show it in the table below.
Not in database.
Put it in the database and then show it. Yes, it has to be end to end. So use the generic repository and unit of work, save it into the database, and fetch it and show it.
So same
Simple
thing.
assignment.
So same thing we have to do in like whatever we
I'm
did
so
in MVC,
distracted.
we need to repeat here.
Same thing.
Like what we are doing in MVC, we need to do in
Yes.
XPA.
Yes. So you see the comparison, right? MVC had the server side and it had the UI, but here it is a combination of Manish is right.
Oh my gosh.
Hey Manish, how are you?
Hey Manish, how are you? The class is starting now.
Manish? Hey Manish? Hello.
Hey Manish, the class is starting now. क्लास अब पढ़ाई शुरू होगी मनीष नहीं तुम हस्बैंड वाइफ मूवी देखने गए थे क्या? हाँ सिम्बा देखने गए थे. अच्छा अच्छा मिल गया था हाँ अभी होमवर्क करना बाकी है लेकिन पुराना भी और ये वाला भी. अब तुम मुझे बताना कैसे करना है. कल कॉल करूंगी तुम्हें. अश्वंत ये देखो अश्वंत ने तो आपको कॉल करा है. वही तो पढ़ाया है अश्वंत ने. अभी क्लास खत्म की है. यू हैव कॉल्ड अश्वंत नॉट मी. ही इज आस्किंग व्हाट इज अश्वंत डूइंग. यू आर ऑन स्पीकर. थोड़ी इज्जत से बात करो.
स्पीकर पे है आप. स्पीकर पे है आप. सब सुन रहे हैं. अच्छा. क्या है मतलब ट्रेनिंग था फिर भी आप लोग डेंटिस्ट के पास चले गए. इतना पेनफुल है क्या? डेंटिस्ट से पेनफुल है क्या ये ट्रेनिंग जो डेंटिस्ट के पास?
You understand Hindi?
I understand, but speaking is
Yeah.
My husband learned Hindi from movies.
हाँ.
I said, wow.
बस हम थोड़ा डिस्कस कर रहे थे कि असाइनमेंट जो करना है वही जो प्रोडक्ट है, वेंडर है, ऑर्डर है, वही जो हम ऐड कर रहे थे और टेबल में दिखा रहे हैं वही अभी एंगुलर और वेब एपीआई यूज करके करना है.
You send product and
क्या
order,
मनीष?
like screenshot.
शालिनी दूसरा ऐश्वर्या.
Product and order, yeah.
प्रोडक्ट ऑर्डर.
Order, yeah.
ठीक है तो कल बताना. ठीक है अभी. और अश्वंत से भी मिल लाइब्रेरी में. अश्वंत की जब भी अश्वंत फ्री होंगे तब उनसे मिलूंगी तो वो मेरी हेल्प करेंगे थोड़ी.
So like we need to like.
तो तुम लोग भी आ जाना फिर
Angular
उसी
right?
कॉल में ना. तो आई लेट यू नो. तुम दोनों का नंबर है मेरे पास.
ओके चलिए. Yeah, so next Saturday is I'm tied up.
Okay.
Sunday also I'm tied up. Yeah.
Did you get time to make
What about
my resume about?
yeah, that's the other thing that is on my list.
Because I have to study accordingly, right?
Yeah,
That's why.
sure.
So
Yeah.
and then I
That's
should
the-
focus on my assignments and on my certification.
Yeah.
I wanted to do certification first.
Yeah.
क्योंकि सर repetitively देखना है. Sometimes it sounds simple, but when they ask you question, they ask you ना कान ऐसे पकड़ते हैं वो.
Hmm.
They don't hold the ear like this, So, although it sounds very simple, I passed the test. Like after each lecture, they have that quiz.
Yeah.
But then you never know. I need more practice questions. अभी वो videos खत्म करने हैं मुझे.
Okay. Sure.
But I will also focus on this because.
Yeah, it gives you an understanding of
Yeah, because.
how things work.
Yeah. I think I got this. See, 23. The fire. This number 5 इसमें तो नहीं है.
हाँ, इसका नाम 5 है.
Yeah, but I don't have that. What you Angular का इसमें है.
No,
No,
the
no,
one
he
that I
just
am
said
showing
half,
right
I
now is
think.
a new one.
Yeah.
This is
This
a
one
new,
I
new slide deck.
I didn't get this.
Oh,
I think half of the book.
So how did you get that?
No, he just said I think half. The first
Oh, okay,
4
okay.
5 slides.
Okay, we didn't get that one. Okay. And then can you please show me where your code is on GitHub? Because
Yeah.
I don't know the homework thingy.
Yeah. So if you log in,
Because मुझे check I need to see first.
National folder, right? So that's sample in this way.
yeah. Oh, ये क्या है? ये sign up है. Sign in करना है.
Sure, you must be so
So,
busy.
Like
Job and class and ghar and bache. How's that Bansal Maths? That guy, that show off who posts his picture hero के.
is that good? Is that good?
That's it.
Huh?
Yeah, he's good.
I have to put my son there every time. My son is doing so bad in maths. He's getting like I think he got like 30 out of 48 or something. No, बेकार उसके score है ना. Maths में
They are
he's in-
teaching something there, right? Or just
Yeah.
giving some homework?
Yeah, the teaching.
They're teaching. Not like
So
Human, right?
he
No.
Human actually they don't teach anything.
Oh, they don't?
No, they don't teach anything. They just give some worksheets.
the
Oh,
my
so you
son
do the
needs-
worksheets in the class?
No, they're home also.
Okay.
Then they'll like correct it if some wrong.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
They don't
he's
teach
in
anything.
advanced class and he goes to so-called gifted school
So
and they don't teach
they-
anything properly. The teacher, the concepts, and then he
Oh.
plays video games all the time. I keep shouting at him,
Hmm.
so he'll
Which
make
school he goes to?
mistakes. Webster,
Oh,
Livonia. That was #1 school forever in Michigan.
okay.
Now it's third, I think.
Oh, I see.
Some Arabs failed in them stuff.
Oh, I
Like,
see.
yeah,
So this is
teachers are bad.
middle school or it's
No, till 6th grade. So
6th
now
grade.
I have to find a new school for him.
Hmm.
And the report card, you know what they write? They base the report card on the last test.
Hmm.
So he writes, the way he speaks, he writes his English.
Okay.
So you read a book and then you write a letter to the teacher,
Yeah.
reflection letter, that what was the book about.
Yeah.
He doesn't even read it what he's writing.
Okay.
So the teacher wrote such bad remarks in the report card. It's the naak kat gayi.
No.
In parent-teacher conference, she's saying, "Oh, he's in advanced class. He's so good. His vocabulary is so good. He's such a good kid." And then in the report card, I'm like, "What the heck is going on?" Now he's so bad in maths. I don't know. So I'm thinking of driving all the way to Bansal Math
So
because he
that's
claims
like Saturdays only, right?
Saturday.
They'll do some test, I heard, right?
Yeah,
Test placement test is
Placement.
there, but that's more a formality.
No.
yeah.
Yeah.
The other guy took $25. जिसका बेटा World Olympiad में गया था ना math. There's a guy in Canton, Bhattacharya.
Acha.
He's a Bengali.
Okay.
Idiot. He took $25 to test my son,
Uh-huh.
and then he gave applied maths to him, such an advanced one, because he didn't want his batch is too crowded. He didn't want my son in that class. वो मुझे ही नहीं आते क्वेश्चन करने मेरे बेटे से तो क्या होंगे I should have taken pictures. We to charge $25 to test him.
Oh. Hmm.
But his son went in that team now. He teaches. You know how he does? He comes to the class, and whatever homework he gave, he starts writing the answer. So he has kids who are in 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, and they're sitting there. So the kids who are good at it, they know what he's doing. Who did the homework? The other ones are getting up, going to the restroom, talking. He doesn't care. He wants his money.
Oh.
But everybody goes to him because his son went to. He got a call from the U.S. government to represent U.S. and then his son was part of the team.
Oh. Okay. This guy is good. I mean, he has discipline. Like
Yeah.
the kids, to make sure that they can't just walk around. And
Like
they-
I want him to explain to my son like equation ye aise, like plus minus f plus g minus x or then minus f ऐसे equations ना, order of operation and ये सब algebraic and all, तो he'll explain the concept and give homework.
Yeah.
I have to drive him then. 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock, he said he will teach 7th grade. 9 o'clock is so hard to get up in the morning and bring him. I have to do that. But I want him to put him with this guy because he claims his students have got 100% score in SAT. Is it true?
Who? This Bansal?
Bansal, yeah. He used to teach here. This Anupam Arora and this Bansal, they were part of this.
Correct.
Yeah. Now
They were together.
They were together. Now
There
they
was no
separated.
two,
and
now they
opened.
separated.
Yeah.
This guy is more. He has people also. Bansal. Like he has 2-3 people who come and teach also. One of the girls is, I think she topped, I think, in some exam. So she comes and teaches. And then
His
there's,
son teaches in Ann Arbor, right?
His son teaches in Ann Arbor.
That's
He has
what-
an institute there in Ann Arbor. If that is closer to you, maybe you can.
I don't know. Ann Arbor.
Ann Arbor is, I think, from Canton, it's equidistant.
Yeah.
This or that is.
Yeah, I'll see. Yeah, my son needs instruction. He thinks he doesn't read the question carefully, and if he's going downhill right now, and I don't want him to do that.
Yeah, the thing is, we have to devote time if we don't send him there. We have to teach at home, which
I can't
both
do
me
it, and my
wife-
husband, he doesn't listen. Like he's always fighting with me and my husband. You are wrong. You don't know how to teach. My husband will explain certain things to him, but my husband doesn't have time to. He's always busy. He works from home, so he's always on call. That's what I'm saying. Like for me to study so hard, first of all, I bring him to school Livonia every day. So one way is 17 miles. So that is 17, 17, 17, 17. Then all the other household work. Then I have to sit with him and make sure his work is done, his projects are done. It is so much. The activities are there. His piano is there. This, that. I'm always like shuttling, and then I get so tired. I said, "What the heck? I'll watch Netflix."
Yeah, once you're stressed out, then you want
Yeah.
to rest for
Yeah. Like I have to go home and cook now.
Next week you said you'll not be available, right? 19.
Next week, I think weekdays in the evening it will be late. I think, right? Weekends, the week after next week, I'm available.
Okay.
So we can
So-
meet
So-
here in library. No, why, man?
Yeah, it
Okay.
works for me.
So
We
same
can
time.
meet.
Same time, right?
Yeah, I mean, same time. This time is good. Yeah, Saturday afternoon is good.
20.
26th.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
26th Saturday.
Yeah.
2 to 5. And we can stay in touch in between.
Like
Sure.
once.
Saturday or Sunday, not necessarily 3 hours. If you want to do 1 hour, 2 hours, that's also fine.
Yeah,
We don't have
yeah.
to meet.
Okay.
tomorrow.
Okay, yeah.
It's really up to you guys. I can
Okay.
come. Yeah, definitely. We'll stay in touch.
So
So
how
like once we'll able to finish this assignment, then you can like start market our assignment,
Yeah.
right?
That's the goal.
Mhm.
So I want to be able to
Mhm.
place you guys somewhere. That's the goal.
where do you think are more chances? Like if you apply for my BA, then which way, like which company you think is better? Like it's easy for me to get in. Like they're not so particular in the interview. Like some people are very picky, they just go on and on and on, and some are like, okay, they'll ask questions and they'll ask.
Yeah, Toyota, their BA role, they are combining it with testing,
Okay.
and they want a BA cum tester. But Toyota here is they're not having a BA role at all.
Hmm.
So BA in Plano they have
Hmm.
a BA cum tester role. So Toyota, so Domino's is another
Okay.
option.
Okay.
There are a lot of companies in Southfield as well. So you're comfortable to travel, right, to Southfield?
Yeah, it should be fine.
Yeah.
But Blue Cross, I've already interviewed once, so I don't know which companies will this thing.
Hmm.
Quicken Loans,
Hmm.
I interviewed. I was selected in this program by 6 companies
Mhm.
through my husband's work.
Okay.
They gave us $36 worth courses on Udemy. And then they said, you prepare and there are mentors. The working professional will come, they didn't know anything except 2 guys.
Hmm.
The Indians who were having IT experience from India, out of 23 people,
Hmm.
like 10 Indians, 10 blacks, 3 whites, So whoever had a prior experience, last year they took everybody, they got offers. So we did 6 interviews in one day, and they said we are not testing you on your because it was 8 weeks class. We are not testing you on your programming coding skill, just aptitude and attitude. Like
Okay.
you are showing aptitude to learn. But
Oh, so
turns
that was a
out,
programming session.
yes,
It's a 8-week programming.
yeah, 2 days. You go there for 3 hours. They didn't teach anything. You don't understand anything unless you have a background. There were 2 projects which Desis hogged because they have experience. They won't let anybody talk also or name a method or anything. Those Desis got the jobs. So out of 23, 2 whites got the job. Both of them had prior experience coding. One black guy they had to take to show diversity. He works for Detroit government in the center. And rest Indians. One Indian girl didn't take. She was from NASCO. She didn't take the offer. She's working as a contractor. So Galaxy offered very less. So we did 6 interviews in one day. They were just
So the
chatty.
same company.
Blue Cross, Amrock, Rocket Homes, Quicken Loans. They are same company, all sister companies. One Magnify, my husband works there. One guy who was there, my husband, and they don't talk. Like some guy, you know, high-headed. He's from Tamil Nadu, but he was brought up in the north. But I don't know what his problem is. First of all, he was shocked that I got into the program because he hates my husband. I don't know for what reason. Anyways, one Magnify and then Galaxy.
So one day 6 interviews.
One day 6 interviews from after half an hour. So in one room in Blue Cross Blue Shield, Jefferson Avenue, like right there. You know where Renson Center is? Opposite that, the Blue Cross buildings. We were there downstairs. They ordered pizza and all for us. So we were all.
Who is they?
Galaxy.
No, the Blue Cross people organized it.
Oh.
But all 6 companies were there with 2 representatives, 2 tables, 2 representatives. So out of 23, only 7 got offers, and they took it with the prior experience. That's it. So it was a scam.
Who conducted this 8-week program?
Quicken Loans, and the mentors came from Quicken Loans. 2 guys were very smart. This black guy was a coordinator, and one guy came from Galaxy. His boss took my interview and he said, I'm training him. So he didn't know much. And then other guy, he didn't know GitHub, but he's like web developer with Quicken Loans. They are developing Rocket Homes. They are updating the website and all because Rocket Home was prior something else. So this was 6 interviews.
Okay.
I didn't get any offer.
Oh, that's a lot in a day.
In a day. And my head was hurting, and they were so chatty. That's what I said. They were asking stupid questions. So I was frank. They said, we are not coding. I said, look, I don't have coding experience. The girl who was the most experienced, she did the web API and the most of the project. I just did the calendar part. And I was very frank. And he asked me about Ajax. I answered. He asked me about waterfall methodology. I said, we did waterfall methodology because we went by one module at a time. We were finishing part of it. He said, that's not one waterfall. Then I gave him an example. Then he asked me about what you did and all that. So I was honest. Why should I lie? You know, I did this because that girl is obviously she's going to brag about herself. We are all in the same team. So Viji was also there. Viji didn't get it.
Viji?
She's so pissed. She was so against me before. She was siding with all that. They formed groups now. Now they all dissed her. So now so I only helped her. I said, okay, you come. I'm taking classes. You learn. So this is what happened. So those people's laptop was with me. The laptop was provided by Quicken Loans.
You still have that laptop? You kept that laptop?
No, I've returned it now. That one I used to use.
When was the interview?
12th December.
Oh.
That's why I was like so busy with that thing now. I was driving and I was so sick. I didn't get anything. So I understood most of the concepts here. I didn't even understand. So six interviews in a day.
This assignment, then we are ready for interviews, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
So all those people will be directed here to you.
Which people?
All these people.
Yeah.
So
like I said, I am not
she's
like
going
very
to tell
keen
her.
on starting.
Yeah, so they might. I told her, so she might tell other people.
Sure.
So they might approach you.
Yeah.
There is another girl who's doing testing with job. She wants a BA job. So I told about you. There is another engineer from Mattu who just called me. She's from MP. She's engineer.
Okay.
She's working in duty-free shop at the airport.
Oh, okay.
And she was working in Ford and she got fired. Her English is not very good.
Let's
She
see.
misunderstands people. She misconstrues everything and then she replies in a wrong English, which they misconstrued. Her husband was sitting next to her. Husband has been working. They paid even for his MBA, and she got fired from there 2 years ago. She's an engineer working in duty-free shop. Can you believe that standing whole day? But these are the ladies I've told about you. I said, contact this guy. He will place you. He will help you. So I'm just all these housewives not sitting at home. There's so much talent, so educated.
Yeah.
I tell everybody. So
Yeah,
this
that's
is
good.
so this is what Galaxy asked me. Abstract questions.
So I logged in into GitHub.
Yeah. So I'm going to.
So this is where it is in Lotech training. So I checked in the Angular project as of yesterday, but I'll check in the changes we made today as well.
Angular things, did you upload that one? No, right?
One version I did, but it doesn't have the things we saw today, like calling the web
Okay.
API. It's not there. So yeah, so I'll update that. So things are here in on Ashwant. It's there. So the slide. Okay. So under training, you have slide decks and Ashwant.
And then music.
And then we open this one, right?
Under Ashwant, you have MVC.
We open this one for the code, right? What
Yeah, under Ashwant, all these are code.
we can open anybody.
This
And what
is
about the
one, this is
homework?
last one. Browse sequence also.
Oh, MVC. Okay.
So you need Angular app and web API right now.
So web API she did. So I was supposed to do the calendar and also I learned like whatever homework I was given, we did that. But nobody was helping us like to do. We were doing by trial and error, studying, doing Udemy from Udemy and doing that. That's what I did.
So Ashwin, 26 we will meet. Anyway, you put message, right?
Yeah, we can keep communicating.
Okay.
So yeah, now
So but at least I got the interview experience. At least I know what they will ask. Because they ask about like what you did in a project and then they will, whatever comes out of your mouth, they will ask you the definition. If I say Ajax, they will ask you Ajax. If I say JSON, they will ask you about JSON. So whatever you say and describe your project, they are going to ask you those buzzwords. That's what they did.
Okay, let's try to finish the assignment.
Yeah.
I'll stay in touch with you. I have to.
Okay. Yeah.
Wait, I'm coming.
Actually, I
Oh, you're in a hurry? You're always in a hurry.
okay, thank you, Ashwin.
Yeah, well.
Stop.